All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Austin Schur with We Write About Music. And today I'm here with Paul Vuocolo from Truenemy. Fresh off the release of his newest single, Midnight Train, we are absolutely thrilled to have him on today. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Austin. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you on the other side of the screen. Thanks so much
Awesome.
for taking the time out of your day.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So before we get fully into the music, I just got to say the song absolutely rocks. I can't tell you how many times I've listened so far just
Right.
today. It's definitely high energy. So for those of you out there that are into the hard rock scene, even if you're not, this is definitely the song for you.
Awesome. That's awesome. That makes me
Yeah.
feel great. It's been sitting on my computer for a few years, so it's it's
So I've
awesome. Yeah.
heard, and that's kind of what I know want to know about. So from what I understand, you were on a 10-year hiatus, but have decided to get back into things. What's the story there?
Yeah. So True Enemy originated as essentially a solo project, and then got a band together back in the 2000s, and we played shows and. Eventually we're gonna put a record out, but never got back to it. But I had pretty much, prior to even getting the band together, had written and recorded an album's worth of material, and those were pretty good demos, you would say. and
Okay.
when COVID-19 hit, and here in Michigan we had some stay-at-home orders. I had Fridays off and extra time to kind of maybe this is the time to kind of dig back in the archives and finish this project. So I think it was just the right time to kind of finally get back to it.
Nice. And so, I mean, it sounds like you had a decent amount of demos sitting there.
Yeah.
What made you pick this one specifically?
It's always been my favorite, actually,
Of
and
course, that makes sense.
yeah, it's one of the first songs I wrote, and it was an idea in my one of my first bands. My nephew Nick Slayton had tossed out the idea of a song called Midnight Train, which I guess is a cliche. There's probably a lot of songs called Midnight Train, but I uh, I kind of ran with this idea of what if it's like a dream chaser, who chases true love in his dreams. And then I had watched the movie Somewhere in Time, the 1980 film Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. And I've always liked that movie. Since I was a kid, I saw it on cable, and it's. I mean, it is a love story and romance, but it's also was written by the guy who wrote Twilight Zone episodes. So it has like
Oh,
that kind of twisty bizarreness to it, or whatever you want to call it. And so, in some ways, the song is, well, in many ways, the lyrics are inspired by that film. And there's some nods in the lyrics, in the bridge, and in the single artwork as well. If you did look at some of the elements on the train, there's some stuff there. So yeah, it's my favorite because I love the hooks and the way it came out, and the melody and the riffs. I like to play it. It was a song we always played live. It was like an opener or like a train sound effect, and then we'd go into it. And the drum intro always sounded cool. It was a cool build up. Um, but yeah, I guess it's special to me because it feels tied into a movie I really enjoyed, and yeah, so
that's awesome. Yeah, after listening just for the first time, I had kind of assumed that it would just be an instrumental. But then about like what a minute and a half in, 2 minutes or
yeah,
so, then the lyrics kick in. I was like, oh, okay, okay. But I can
right,
imagine as an intro to a concert, that'd be a pretty amazing song to start with.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Kind of get people in the mood.
Yeah, totally. It was more like a freight train sound, and then little nuggets of like you could hear "All Aboard" from Ozzy from Crazy
Oh,
Train,
of
and
course.
some other little nuggets in the background. So that was kind of our intro sound effect music. But yeah, no, it's a cool opener and a jammer. But yeah, no,
Nice.
it does have a bit of an intro there, and it's
No, it's
you
great.
know
It's great.
cool. Yeah, conceptually, it's supposed to feel like a train and sound like a train. So
Right. So I don't want to jump too far into the future at this point, but since you've got you're sitting on these demos, are there plans to, I mean, I guess, release more of them in a more professional state?
totally. There's going to be 7 songs total, an 8-song LP.
Nice.
Some of them are very close to being finished. Some of them are missing some elements, so we might have to re-record a couple guitar tracks, some vocal tracks. But for the most part, they're like 80% of the way complete,
Nice.
and there should be another single coming out in like a month or so, and then maybe an EP, and then the album. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are all the songs that are going to be released ones that you had recorded previously, or anything that you've kind of been creating during, this past year or so?
It'll all be the stuff that was initiated back in the 2000s, yeah. And
Nice.
then,
Okay.
like I said, where there's like missing elements, I actually have the same equipment and everything. I'm a bit of a hoarder, I guess. So I still have all
That's
the same
okay.
recording equipment, and so one of the I guess principles of this project was not to re-record or change the sonics too much. So staying true to the original vibe of the recordings and whatnot.
Sure. Hey, recording equipment is expensive. So, I don't
Correct.
blame you at all for using the old stuff. If it works, might as well just keep
Yeah,
up with it.
exactly. I had to blow out a few pots with some compressed air, but we're good. We're
Yeah,
fine.
it's no worries. You got a lot of time to burn, so it's all good.
Right.
Um, what else has been keeping you busy? Has it mainly been music? What have you been up to over the past, I guess, year or so?
Well, it's been interesting. So I do have a full-time job. I'm in web and digital strategy, and that's been interesting because we've had to adapt to just the new normal as everyone has. So we were very busy, uh, uh, um, um, just adapting our work to
Oh yeah.
changing demands. But I also have a kindergartner at home,
Ah,
and so stay at home has been interesting with both me and my wife working from home and having a son.
trying to
And
figure that
so
out.
it's been a challenge. And then he started kindergarten and virtual kindergarten, so it's been there's no such thing as a routine, I guess, since about last March, since everything went
No.
down. So, but I don't think that's any different than anyone else in the
Yeah,
world.
that's true. But hey, it keeps things interesting, and
Yeah.
for better or worse, I suppose.
But
All right. So,
he's learned how to play drums, so that's good.
well, there you go. How you said he's in kindergarten?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. So are you trying to model your sound after inspirations, or are you trying to create something completely new and original?
Interesting. The music I would say is I was a big, still am a fan, but when I wrote and conceived these songs, really heavy into like Megadeth, Metallica,
Sure.
Anthrax, and not necessarily all the. I love all their music, but not like the thrashy, like early stuff.
Hmm.
The more, I guess, 90s, a little more simplified song structure, but the tightness, the technical prowess of those bands, I've always been enamored with. And so, I guess if you want to say model, just that tightness, the riff based songs, the melodies, the heaviness. So it's kind of modeled after that, I guess.
Sure. So, I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of the music that we cover is not always hard rock or metal, I
Okay.
suppose, but we cover all music. So,
Okay.
in order to kind of introduce listeners to the genre, what are some must listen albums that you feel are the most like introductory, to kind of get
Oh,
into it?
oh man. Well,
It's a tough
geez.
question. Take your time. I understand there's a lot out there.
Well, I mean, I think if you're talking about Megadeth, like the pinnacle, I guess would be the Rust in Peace album from 19. I hope I get this right, 90. Um, Metallica, you had Master of Puppets from 1986, and Anthrax, you have Among the Living from 87, but also Persistence of Time from 1990 is really good. But there's so many. I mean, gosh, Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction. Everyone's probably heard the Metallica Black album, Justice for All.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's so many good songs there. There's so much technical precision, good songwriting, great song structure, just all around. Great musicians too, just all around.
Right.
So
Are there any current day bands that you've kept up with that are kind of doing things right within the genre?
well, I kind of, when I wrote and conceived these songs, I was pretty much, hard rock. No, that's all I listened to, right? But
Sure.
the Beatles, one album came out around, I think it was 2000 or whatnot,
Hmm.
and kind of broadened. I was obviously getting older too, but broadened my taste in music, and I kind of got into the Beatles and Paul McCartney and everything that just took me down wormholes of new music. So I pretty much listen to everything. In terms of the genre, I mean, I really like Avenged Sevenfold. I
Yeah.
really like a lot of their music, and I can tell, well, I hear a lot of I hear Metallica and other bands in their sound, but they're great.
Mhm.
I saw them actually live at Comerica Park here in Detroit a few years ago with Metallica, and that was a great show. So
That's awesome. Well, I if I could actually recommend you a band to check out, like based off of what you kind of just listed, there's a band. They have a ridiculous name, but their name is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
okay,
Are you familiar with them at
I am
all?
not. No.
Okay, they're this Australian kind of like psychedelic rock band, but every album that they put out is a concept. So they'll try one
Oh, cool.
genre, they'll kind of hop to another one. But in the past 3 years, they put out two metal albums that
Okay,
are like perfect thrash, very Metallica esque.
okay,
First one is called Murder of the Universe.
okay.
Highly recommend. It's like a metally kind of spoken word. It's awesome. But
Very
the one
cool.
that I think that you'd probably like better is one that they put out, I think, in 2019 called Infest the Rat's Nest. It
Okay,
is the closest thing to Metallica, but with like a new age spin to it.
okay, cool.
It definitely reminded me of Midnight Train. I think that you'd like it a lot.
All
So
right,
if you
cool.
get the chance and you're feeling like you want to rock out for a bit,
Right, right.
definitely definitely check it out.
I will check it out. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, of course. So I'm kind of moving away from that though. Things that you've made in the past, is there any chance that they'll see the light of day on streaming services or even a physical release?
All right. Well, are you talking about the True Enemy stuff that I'm still finishing? Or you mean other stuff that I've worked on in the past?
And any other stuff?
Oh, okay. The True Enemy, yeah, that stuff. There'll be another single, EP, and an album that'll all be coming out this year.
Nice.
And then that. I want to kind of bring that project to completion. And then there's almost a sophomore record worth of material that
Oh, okay.
could be another True Enemy album, or probably pick and choose from that. What would be the whether that be like solo material or another True Enemy album. So I'm working with. So the one piece I left out is when kind of dug into the archives back in April. I had off and on been reaching out to producer engineer here in Canton, Michigan, Chuck Alkazian,
Mhm.
um, um, over the years, kind of saying, "Hey, I've got these songs, I'd like to finish them," but the timing was never right. And then when
Sure.
COVID happened back in the spring, that was like, "Oh, hey Chuck, is this a good time?" Yeah, so everything worked out
It's a
great.
great
So
time.
yeah, so yeah, we were really able to get everything kind of mixed remotely and some in-person session stuff too. But it was really opportune time. He's been great to work with. He's at Pearl Sound Studios in Canton, Michigan. And so yeah, him and I kind of we'll be working to wrap up the rest of the songs, and then once this, I guess I'm trying not to look too far past this current project because it's that's a
Of
lot to
course not.
revisit. Yeah, but there is other material there. To revisit and either release under True Enemy or solo material. I mean, I even have like silly stuff. Well, not necessarily silly, but a little different. Like I have a kids Halloween song I'd like to release at some point, and a
That's
Christmas album.
awesome.
So yeah, that would be more like licensing kind of stuff, to pursue.
That would be cool. I hope that sees the light of day. I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
sure.
I just feel like so many musicians have been holed up, not necessarily, playing shows. And so, yeah, you get creative and you got to make things up. So I'd hope that there's going to be a whole string of releases that come out soon.
Yeah, totally, totally. I did a
Uh,
lot of streaming myself over the summer on. It was more like practicing being in front of an audience again because I kind of I
yeah.
still played, but I hadn't played out in a long time. So once I was getting back into it, I would do like just regular streaming jams with my whole Facebook friend community and kind of get the nerves built up again and all that. So yeah.
Seriously though, besides kind of like I suppose the fun stuff, are you ever just like sitting there like screwing around and do you do like demos on your phone or like sing something in there or
Yeah,
just like ideas for
actually,
the future?
I actually have a lot of demos I've done since I've had an iPhone and GarageBand and all that
Mhm.
because it makes it a lot easier. I mean, the quality is really good because of the microphones, but it just makes it easier. I think one of the reasons I never really finished these songs back in the day, it's just a lot to try and record. It's a lot to be a performer and a songwriter and an engineer at the same time. So
Right, right.
uh, yeah, it's nice to just set up a phone and strum the guitar and capture some melodies and not get too deep into it and just kind of leave it there as an idea. So I do a lot of that actually.
All right. What kind of programs do you use to like mix and master and produce?
I kind of keep it simple. I use Adobe Audition, and
Nice.
I first started out with that when it was Cool Edit Pro way back in the day, and I think Adobe bought it and relabeled it or rebranded it Audition. But I still use that, although I probably might graduate to Pro Tools at some point. But who knows?
Mhm. It's like
But
learning a new language.
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing is anyone can be an artist these days, which is great. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad out there, but half the battle is learning how to use, Ableton or Pro Tools or something like
Right.
that and just
Yeah.
kind of figure it out. But I mean, it looks like you got a pretty sweet studio behind you.
It is
So
fun. Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
say,
It's like my creative space, but now it's become my home office slash everything. But it's
mm,
fun to come by down here. Once everyone's in bed, and that's where I was doing my streaming with my Facebook friends
sure.
over the summer, and yeah, you can kind of get a mood going on. Yeah, I got the ceiling lights on, so it's super bright now, but I usually keep it a little dimmer, so it's a little less, I don't know, harsh or whatever. But yeah, no,
Sure.
it's a cool. It's my retreat, I guess. This
That's
space
awesome.
right here.
Now you got to have your own space, so I completely understand. What are some goals that you're setting for yourself for 2021, musical or not?
Okay. Well, musical is to bring this project to completion. I'm trying not to
Mhm.
look too far past that. Kind of taking it single by single, song by song,
Yeah,
and really important to me to get that wrapped up this year and bring it to completion and bring it to the world. So, and then personally, uh, getting healthier. My
sure,
exercise and diet has probably taken a big hit since it always happens when it gets cold out and everything. But I really want to
sure.
kind of get into an exercise routine. So
Nice. Well, hopefully it starts warming up over there so you can get out and do something.
right.
I feel yeah. Let's see here. So I want to start wrapping things up because it's been great talking to you. But what is a message that you would like to pass off to the listeners? Anyone that might be watching this right now who's not heard of you or is looking to find new artists, what would you like to say to them?
Oh goodness. I mean, I would say to always keep your mind open, keep your ears open. There's always something new to hear or a story to be told.
Mhm.
And personally, with regard to this project, just in general, never give up on your dreams. There's always, it might not be next week, it might not be next year, it could be 10 years. But if you
Right.
kind of, if it's something's that important to you and you stick with it, I think things eventually work out. So, yeah.
Nice. I think that's a great answer.
Cool.
All right. Paul, it's been awesome talking to you. For everyone else, Midnight Train it's streaming everywhere, I assume.
Yes, it is.
Uh, so you can get on it, listen to it, follow along, and look out for more. I assume there will be more coming in the next months.
Yeah, hopefully end of February and in March sometime.
Perfect. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to speak.
You're welcome. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, no problem at all. Take care. Have a great rest of
All
your
right.
night.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.